Thank you very much for inviting me back to the London Greek Radio and allowing me the opportunity to talk about my book.
Well, before we talk about the book Where Is Home, I think people would like to know who is Paul Lambis and about your family and what it was actually like as somebody of Greek origin growing up in South Africa.
Okay, well, I believe it's difficult to sum up who I am exactly, okay, but and it's much easier to talk about your beliefs, your likes, your dislikes, your interests, etc. But when I embarked on the road to find out where home was, I did some soul searching. Now, I don't want to disclose all my findings in my answer. The book eventually reveals who Paul Lambis really is, and of course my outlook on life. But I'm hoping through my book to share my experiences, to help my readers see things from a different perspective, especially during these trying times. Now, to answer your question, my family was and still is an authentically Greek family who tried very hard, I might add, to maintain their cultural heritage in a non-Greek world, in the case of South Africa. But, this constant battle to preserve our customs, traditions, and beliefs, I believe, finally paid off, especially when we had the chance to immigrate back to Cyprus.
What was the driving force behind that immigration? Just a change, or your parents had a business opportunity there, or something?
Michael, to be honest with you, everybody's aware of what's going on in South Africa at the moment. Now, I don't want to paint a horrible picture, because South Africa, in my opinion, is still one of the most beautiful places on earth. However, growing up in a pre-apartheid world and then in a post-apartheid society, and then obviously the influx of crime that the new, I'd say, South Africa introduced, became a very unfavorable place for us to live in, especially when you've got dependents. I mean, we all know what it's like when you've got a wife and a child, and you're responsible for them. So at some point, we had to make a decision and say, right, okay, we're happy with what we've had in South Africa, but it's time to close that chapter and then open up a new one. And obviously, Cyprus was the next choice. Cyprus, of course, being I'd say, a much easier way or a country to adapt from South Africa. I mean, we drive the same way. English is widely spoken. And, we thought that would obviously be the better option. And thankfully, it did work out.
Well, you've seen the best and worst, really, of both worlds in South Africa there. And, of course, going to Cyprus, a country not without its problems historically as well. So maybe you have, some experience of dealing with a divided country in some ways through your experiences in South Africa. Now, behind all of this, you've sat down and you've put together this book called, Where Is Home? What are the real subjects that you tackle here? Okay, well, basically, as a side note, Michael, Where Is Home, the concept of the book initiated, or it stems from when I had a near-fatal accident in 2008. So obviously when you're bedridden for 6 months, you're constantly thinking about a lot of things. And of course, one question which I believe everyone is faced with at some stage is, do I really fit in, and where do I belong, and where am I going? And obviously, Where Is Home then is a recollection of all those experiences, my personal experiences overcoming the challenges of puberty, parental embarrassment, sibling rivalry, crime. I mean, the list is endless. And of course, overweight, is one of them, tackling weight. And taking all those experiences and applying them to an adult world which is filled with entertainment, spirituality, and the opposite sex. ... No, please tell us more about that.
No. I'm going to leave you there. But one of the main things that we were always taught as teenagers is that you should never discuss sex, politics, and religion. And in the book, I discuss all three.
We had this book which later turned into a TV series back in the 70s and 80s in the UK called The Diary of Adrian Mole, and of course that is a reflection of that particular young man growing up and all of the things that you've mentioned. But
right.
Is there, your experiences having lived in South Africa and moved to Cyprus, and this, this strong Greek culture that comes through. Did that influence you in any way in terms of all of these things that you went through?
I think it does. At some stage, Michael, it all starts from home. It's what you've trained, I'd say, or molded to believe in. And then taking all those beliefs and applying them to everyday life. So obviously, as a South African Greek, or a Greek, let's say, in South Africa, you don't necessarily think that you're far superior to anyone else, but you do think that you are a different group of species, if you want to call it that. It does set us apart that, we're living in a multicultural society. However, as Greeks, we stand out because we are different. And I think the whole the idea, or let's say the challenge, is basically taking what you've been instilled from childbirth as a Greek in South Africa, taking all those cultural beliefs and ideas and traditions and customs, and then your perception of what it would be like applying those to a country which is, let's say, 90% Greek. And then, of course, you come to Cyprus, and then you're presented with a different world that is not necessarily, or it might be 90% Greek, but their ideas and customs and beliefs have moved on. So you're bringing the old world, and you're trying to amalgamate it with the new one. And I think the challenge is far great, but it's definitely a good one.
And this is all fascinating stuff. Now, I know that the Where Is Home has showcased at the London Book Fair. How is it going? How is this book going, and how is it being received? Are you selling lots of copies? And and on the strength of this, are you planning something else?
Well, I have to say, thankfully, the book's gone very well, Michael. It's been well received throughout the world, and particularly in Cyprus and South Africa, and of course the UK, Australia, and the United States. Now, the bulk of the sales have happened through Cyprus and South Africa, and we're branching out now into the United Kingdom. The London Book Fair, I'd say, proved it worked out very, very nicely for the book. We met interesting people. The book finally reached Olympia Dukakis, as I'd mentioned to you a few weeks ago. And she was very optimistic about the book, and she said that as an American, she believed we were constantly trying to answer the question of where home really is. So she felt it would be something that everybody would be able to relate to. On a long-term thing, I'd say, yes, we're definitely planning a sequel to the book, but at the moment we'd like to focus on the comedy shows, which are going to start now in October and November this year in Cyprus.
What will that involve? Will that and how long will they? What's the duration of those shows?
Okay, well, we basically have 3 comedy show performances scheduled in October, November in Cyprus. And obviously we'll be touring from Nicosia to Limassol and then finally to Paphos. The performances will eventually reach the United Kingdom and, of course, South Africa. And we will obviously, the shows, I'd say, include stand-up, the banter, the stories from Where Is Home, and with a little bit of a twist. So
you're not going to give that.
Would you to get down to Cyprus to have a taste of what the shows will really be about?
We love twists, and we love sort of drama in the last minute. I mean, the Mousetrap has run in London for countless years, so something with a twist at the end of it is something we all look forward to. In summary, what makes this so magical in your opinion? Where Is Home? What? I mean, there's lots of, as I said to you, we've had books like this before, but what gives this unique stamp, Paul? In your opinion,
I think, Michael, first of all, it's based on a personal experience. So it's a journey that I think everybody takes. At some stage, we are all nomads. We don't really belong in the one place. Then eventually we decide to relocate, and then after a few years we decide, okay, we don't belong there anymore. I think it's, especially during these trying times, we seem to forget to laugh. And I think that's the essence of the book. If you don't laugh at life, life will eventually turn around and laugh back at you. So because it's also a personal experience, and I'm able to give 100% to the book and to the performances, that what you see is what you get. I think it sets itself up as something unique, and at the same time, because I experience life as a movie, as a journey of film, I've taken elements of film together with what it's like being Greek and immigration and all the other experiences which I've mentioned previously, put them all together in one salad, which is basically termed as a Greek salad without the olives. So I think that's what sets it apart, and I'm sure that people that will be coming through to see the performances will definitely get a taste of what it's like to be Greek, but not Greek at the same time. I don't want to disclose a lot of things, no. But I'm hoping I'm not sending you on a wild goose chase. But that's basically what the book's all about, and the show.
Well, maybe a title for the next book would be The Greek Salad Without the Olives, or The Greek Salad with Just the Feta. I don't know, but that's food for thought. Where can somebody buy the book? Where can they get it online? Do they have to go to a bookshop? Tell us where we can get hold of this book, because I think there's so many people want to read this.
In Cyprus and South Africa, it's available at various bookstores, but in the United Kingdom, and of course for Australia and the United States, it's available through the website. And if you allow me to give the address,
of course,
it's www.paul-lambis, that's lambis.com.
Okay, now, in closing, I think
right.
Our listeners are really interested in this, because obviously your love of your culture comes through just at an interview level, let alone what happens in the book. What final closing message do you have for the LGR listeners?
Well, first of all, Michael, I consider it an absolute privilege to be associated with the London Greek Radio, especially about talking about my book. I think the most important message which I'd like to convey is that I basically want everybody to arm themselves, but not with weapons. We seem to be confusing the plot, let's say. I want them to arm themselves with information. They should make reading and research a priority. It's something which I'm trying to communicate here in Cyprus as well. Ask questions. Don't settle for unsatisfactory answers. And especially to find out what you can, and base your decisions on what's proven instead of what's convenient. I think it's especially important for people to be aware of what's going on, but to take life lightly. I think we're so concerned or preoccupied with all the drama, we seem to forget to laugh. Which brings me back to the quote which I've based my whole book on, is that if you don't laugh at life, life will eventually turn around and laugh at you.
Well, Paul, not only an author, there sounds to be a bit of the politician in there, and maybe even a touch of the philosopher. Once again, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Every success with the book, that goes without saying, and thank you very much for talking to
Michael,
London Greek Radio.
Thank you very much, and once again, I'd like to thank everybody at the London Greek Radio. I feel that I've got another family there, and when I'm next in London, you're on my priority list.
Absolutely. We'll all look forward to it. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Michael. All the best.
Thank you.